Namaskar and welcome to this exciting new episode of Sattology, debunking mythology. Sattology means science of truth or study of truth. Opposite of that is mythology, which means science or study of fake, lie, or imagination. Now, the the knowledge of four cycles of time, or four periods, or four yuga, is common across all the native cultures of the world. In fact, you'll be shocked to know that the Native American traditions, whether it's Sioux tribe or Ojibwa or any of the other tribes, even Kumeyaay, which is local to us, uh, has been telling their children, as per the traditions, that we are living in the fourth age. And we already discussed that Amerique was the princess in one of the Ojibwa tribes. That's how the word America comes. The Amerique was the common name of this continent even before the European settlers came. And European settlers generally put the history as Amerigo Vescovuli, and which is the Italian explorer. But that is not the truth. America was the name before even they came. And actually, what it meant also, another story which in traditions of Native Americans is that this country was known as the Turtle Island. And some people say that the whole continent was called Turtle Island. And I'm reading more and more of these stories and more traditions. My eyes are opening up with some more knowledge about the local cultures. Unfortunately, very few documentation is there. American campuses have not recorded, not studied the proper, without evangelizing, without Christianizing them. They have not studied an independent assessment of the traditions of Native Americans, which they should do. But there is no department in any of the universities doing that. What a shame on all of us. So I have a very special guest today. He has done a research on yugas and he's going to focus on today's yuga. Today's yuga means today's age. And the whole mythology about the Bronze Age, the Copper Age, and Iron Age, and Stone Age is all completely bogus. It's a mythology. The thing is, even 20,000 years back, gold utensils have been recovered. Even 10,000 years back, gold utensils have been recovered, and iron and everything else has been recovered. And even 5,000 years back, the same things have happened. That means gold has been in common use. So let us welcome the author of Yuganta book, Jeevan Rao. Welcome, Jeevan.
Namaste, Aditi ji.
What a transition and introduction that earlier you used to come and we used to talk Ramayana research. Now we say the author of Yuganta, Advent of Kali Yuga. So I really like the word Yuganta. And the most commonly asked question is that now Kali Yuga is already over and now we're in the Satyug. And people say that. Some people say the Dwapar and Kali Yuga, they keep fluctuating. So what is your definition of Kali Yuga before we begin with?
Okay, so I mean, part of my presentation is producing different types of definition for Kali Yuga. So one of the major definition that we find in Mahabharata is Kali Yuga is the age of decadency. Like all the moral values will decrease, and the people's attachment or respect for the scriptures will decrease. So basically, that's what the age of decline or the age of ignorance is the characteristics of Kali Yuga.
Okay. So that means the Kali Yuga is not over because age is still declining, continuously going on, right? So,
Yeah, I mean, that is actually one of the reasons why we have 4.32 million years of Yuga,
yeah.
right? Because like it is always human tendency to view their present time as very morally degraded.
But it's a
So
lot more coming, huh?
yeah, that is the characteristics of us now, and it was the characteristics 1,500 years back. So
And
that's
and the
how.
verse is yet to come. Verse is yet to come, huh?
Yeah. So
So,
I
so
mean, even in our day-to-day life, we can see our elders will say that it was not like this in our times. Society has gone bad very much now. So it's like a constant human characteristics.
no, even I, like, and I'll exclude myself because of my situation was a little different. Everybody will say that my childhood was better than my current. Even today, people discuss in USA, okay, we used to do that. We used to put our children in the back of the car without seat belts and we're going around, and now we can't do that. So for them, the definition is so shallow that the seat belt not able to put for children in the back seat was considered very free times. Now seat belt they have to put is considered very downtime. The definitions are changing everywhere. But if you ask Native Americans, they'll say, oh, 300 years back, we owned the country and today we lost the country.
Mhm.
This is what Native
Yeah.
Americans will say, which is a very sad thing. And if you ask the Hindus, they'll say, okay, we had India extending from Uttar Kuru to Syria to Cambodia and Laos, and now we are just in a small India. There also people are fighting over it and don't letting to let us speak. So everyone has a different story, but nobody can say they've become better than before, few years before. Is it true?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, this is sort of like our physics thermodynamics. Like thermodynamics says that the disorder of the world always keeps on increasing. So
True.
basically, that's what we all are saying, right? The present time is not as good as past.
Right. I've never seen anyone happy. They'll not say, okay, we are happier today. They'll say, I mean, people, obviously, people need a reason to cry also because it's Kali Yuga. And they will say, in the past, this used to happen. They may have never experienced it. Their father and mother toiled for it. But the whole thing is the past was better, the present is better. So my question to you is a rhetorical question: is that is becoming modern, becoming happier today? We have iPhones, we can check any messages, we can continue with the propaganda. What is your view?
Yeah, it is. Technology is a two-edged sword, right? I mean, because we have iPhone, because we can check messages, more folks are unhappy than they are happy, because like they're constantly checking if the message is delivered or not, did they get to reply or not. So in a way, technology has reduced the peace of mind, we can say.
You know,
And on other end, there are also obvious positive aspects also for it.
like we as the developers of AI, okay, my companies work on that. We are the developers of AI, and we discuss the ethical uses of AI. Because we are more scared about AI because you know what it can do. But the politicians, they go about saying AI is the future. I have like they asked the developers first time that please you tell us about it because you know what it can do. And but the politicians go out and the marketing agencies go out, and especially in the outside the US, people are more excited about AI than within the US. Even though Microsoft is the number one AI technology firm and Google is the number one AI data firm, but still outside of US, the AI is more celebrated. I don't know why. The Americans are not excited about AI. They want to have the old cars with the gas engine and just no software, just gears with the hand shift because they know what can it can do. You know,
Hmm.
so so
Yeah.
again a different perspective that the AI also. And people are writing book eulogizing and predicting that yes, AI is going to take over the world. That's not to be happy. The first guys to lose a job will be the software guys.
Yeah, yeah,
It can be easily programmed. It can be easily programmed. Pick up the best
yeah,
code from anywhere in the world, put it out there, and then what happens to the copyrights? So then again, in
yeah,
lawsuits and lawsuits and lawsuits. If you build a small one line from any other company, you're done. There'll be a lawsuit, and your entire
yeah.
software can be. So anyway, I'll let you begin with your presentation, and we will continue discussion. Please go ahead.
Okay, I'm sharing my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, yes. Go ahead. Purva Paksha.
Yeah. So, as we know, in our Vedic parampara, before we start on any new research or any new work, we have it is very important to perform the Purva Paksha, which means doing the due diligence for the work that we are undertaking. So, for now, you might be knowing that my work is based on the advent of Kali Yuga, means the beginning of Kali Yuga. So, for this session, I thought it would be useful to perform the Purva Paksha of the definitions of Yuga that are in practice in our Hindu culture. So, to give a context, my work started when I started reading the Mahabharata. On the 18th day of the war, Balarama and Duryodhana and Bhima actually involved in a Gada Yuddha, a maze war. So we know that Duryodhana had the boon from his mother, so he was not actually practically defeatable. So what happens is Bhima breaks the thigh bone of Duryodhana, and during the Mahabharata times, in the code of Dharma Yuddha, it was actually not permissible. Any blow below the waist was prohibited. So this actually angers Balarama, and he rushes to punish Bhima. So at that time, Sri Krishna comes forward and stops Balarama, and he tells him that Praptam Kaliyugam Vidhi Pratignam Pandavasyacha. So that means know that Kali age has commenced, and so you can let go of Bhima for this mistake. So what is the importance of this verse? This verse is important because in our traditional knowledge, we think or we believe Kali Yuga began with the passing away of Sri Krishna, with Sri Krishna's Nirvana. That is 36 years after the Mahabharata war. But here, within the Mahabharata, Sri Krishna was telling Kali Yuga began by the time of last day of the war. So there is a discrepancy of 36 years here, and it is not just 36 years. Almost 60 to 70% of the Mahabharata researchers who date the Mahabharata war use the traditional claim that Kali Yuga began with the Krishna's Nirvana. So this reference becomes very important when we are researching about the Kali Yuga, and this reference made me start my research on the beginning of Kali Yuga. So before that, quickly, as I said, this session will be a Purva Paksha on the concept of Yuga and Kali Yugas. So what is a Yuga? So before knowing that, know that Yuga is the smallest block in Kala Chakra or time. And there are mainly two categories of time. One is linear time and the other is quasi-cyclic time. Our Hindu culture believes in quasi-cyclic time. It is not cyclic time because with each yuga or with each kalpa, there is no exact repeat of the events. The majority of the events will take place as in the same order, but there will be some difference. So that is what is called as quasi-cyclic. And coming to linear time, this is what Christianity or the West follows. There is only one birth, one death, and after death, it is either permanent heaven or eternal hell. However, in quasi-cyclic time, it is not like that. With each birth, with each cycle, every individual will have an opportunity to rise up the levels with the final destination is attaining moksha or deliverance. So in this quasi-cyclic type of time, the smallest unit is the Mahayugas, and 71 Mahayugas will form one Manvantara, and 14 Manvantaras will form one Kalpa. And one Kalpa is also known as one day of Brahma. Now we are concentrating on this Mahayugas, whereas this Yuga, the root word of Yuga is Yuj, which means to join. And this Yuj is also the root of yoga, which is to join our consciousness to the supreme consciousness. Then how does it relate to Yuga? It relates to Yuga because the actual meaning of Yuga is to join the passages of time. So that's why we say that there is a peculiar involvement of time, the concept of timekeeping in the word Yuga. Now, this block of Mahayuga, or it is also called as Chatur Yuga, has four components in it: Krita, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali. Now, these four names are actually originated with the roll of dice. Krita is the dice which has 4 marks on it, and Treta is the dice with 3 marks on it. Dwapara is 2, and Kali is 1. So this is the 4:3:2:1 ratio that we see in our Yuga durations. And interestingly, we see the same ratio 4:3:2:1 in our concepts of Dharma also, because Dharma is represented as a bull in our in Mahabharata, and it is said that during Krita or Satya Yuga, this bull stands on 4 feet, and during Treta it stands on 3 feet, during Dwapara it stands on 2 feet, and during Kali it stands on only 1 feet. So this is the origin or the origin of the concept of Yuga. And coming forward, there is, as I said, even though Yuga has that concept of time in it, we should understand that not all utterances or all mention of Yuga means timekeeping, because there are like different definitions and different applications for the usage of this term Yuga. So this is the vast PPTC matrix developed by Sri Nilesh Oak. He has already briefly given a talk on this last year, I think. So I will be giving one example for each quadrant, that is theoretical, philosophical, practical, and chronological. So as you move from your left to right, as you move from practical to chronological, the timekeeping aspect of the Yuga increases. And as you move from bottom, local or contextual, to global or universal, the application or the range of its applicability will also increase. That means the definitions in the bottom half of this matrix are usually localized, are usually local, means it is not universally applicable. Whereas as you move towards the top two, it is general definition, it is a generic definition, and it is applicable to the large area or the large span of people. So let's start with theoretical, and this definition, theoretical Yuga definition, comes from Surya Siddhanta. तद्वादश सहस्राणि चतुर्युग मुदामृतम सूर्याब्द संख्याया द्वित्रि सागरैर्युता हते. Okay, here what it is saying is 12,000 of these divine years are one Chaturyuga. So 12,000 divine years means 4.32 million years. Now, this is the definition that we also find in almost all of the Puranas. Right. So, and then why am I including that in the theoretical? Why is it not in the chronological definition of the Yugas? So to understand that, we have to understand the Yuga model of Surya Siddhanta. And this Yuga model of Surya Siddhanta is also the Yuga model of our Puranas. But do note, it is not the Yuga model of Mahabharata. We will get to the Yuga model of Mahabharata later. Yugasya dashamo bhagaha chatustridveka sadgunaha. Okay, so what it is saying is the 10th part of an age multiplied successively by 4, 3, 2, and 1 gives the length of Krita and other ages. That is to say, we saw in the previous slide that one Chaturyuga is 4.32 million years. Now, 10th of that is 4,32,000 years. Okay, so 4 times this ratio gives the total duration of Krita, and 3 times that gives the duration of Treta. Twice that number will give the duration of Dwapara, and Kali Yuga is 4,32,000 years. Now, you might ask, what is wrong in using this number for chronological research? It is not advisable to use this number for chronological purpose, because this number or this calculation was provided precisely for astronomical calculations. I will also show you why. Okay, so here in these 3 or 4 verses in the Surya Siddhanta, it lists the number of rotations of various planets in the Chaturyuga. Here you can see the number of rotations this Surya Siddhanta has listed for 9 objects. Now, something very interesting happens here. For 4.32 million years, you can represent the rotation of each of these planets in an integer. You can note that there is no decimal number here for the rotations. So that is the significance of 4.32 million years. Because at 4.32 million, when for the duration of 4.32 million years, the total rotations of each of these planets can be expressed in integer numbers. But even this, whatever I said now, is already a very great technological advancement, okay, technological discovery. However, Surya Siddhanta, the authors of Surya Siddhanta, goes one step further and and provides us a formula to calculate the accurate orbital period of these planets using this total number of rotations. Okay, in this shloka, Surya Siddhanta is giving the total number of rotations of nakshatras, like asterisms, of the terms of 1,582,000,000. Okay, now just follow me here. What it says is the number of risings of the asterisms minus number of revolutions of each planet will give the number of risings of the planets in a yuga. Now, this shloka gave the number of risings of the asterisms, right? 1,582,000,000. And from the previous shloka, we know that Sun has 4.32 million rotation. Now, to know the number of civil days, that means number of risings of Sun in 4.32 million years, we have to subtract the number of risings of asterisms with that of Sun. And this gives us the number that I am showing here, 1,577,000,000. And you can also verify this by multiplying the number of days, like 365 into 4.32 million years. You will get almost approximate the same value. But this is the Surya Siddhanta's way of calculating. Now, once you get the number of civil days, it is very easy to calculate the orbital period. Orbital period can be calculated as number of civil days divided by the number of revolutions. And we get these values. Just compare the values given in the third column with that of the fourth column. It is remarkably accurate. And like I don't even have words to express the technological advancement our ancient Indians might have reached to arrive at this precise values. So with this, you can see that the 4.32 million years had a very particular application. It was used to precisely calculate the orbital period of the planets. But you might ask, so even why can't we use this definition or terms of yuga for timekeeping? Like we have Treta, Kali, Dwapara in this shlokas, right? So what is stopping us from using that for chronological purpose? It is not so straightforward because not every utterance of the yuga terms mean chronological. Because, for example, take this example here in philosophical quadrant. Kali Shayano Bhavati Sanjihanastu Dwaparaha Uttishtastheta Bhavati Krutam Sampadyate Charams. Now, this comes from Aitreya Brahmana, which is actually this definition is actually experimental in nature, experiential in nature. You cannot base your chronological study on this definition. What it is saying is one laying down becomes Kali, and when one is about to leave the bed, he becomes Dwapara. When rising, he becomes Treta, and when he starts to move, he becomes Treta. So this is actually encouraging human or people to be active. So that's what this shloka is saying. So you cannot use this into our chronological research. And coming to the practical applications, this comes from Mahabharata, and this statement is Bhishmacharya's. Kalo va karanam rajo, raja va kala karanam, iti te samshayo ma bhut, raja kalasya karanam. So what he is saying is, Whether it is the king that makes the yuga or it is the yuga that makes the king, don't have any doubt about it. The truth is the king makes the yuga. Raja kalasya karanam. So it is this definition that is applicable when we read the statements of Ramayana, which says that in Treta Yuga, Sri Ramchandra brought Krita Yuga. Or in Mahabharata, where it says Bhishmacharya brought the rule of Krita during Dwapara. So again, these are very local, very contextual. These are not applicable for worldwide or even nationwide for that matter. For example, in our medieval times, when North India was experiencing invasions, South India under Vijayanagara was experiencing Suvarna Yuga, right? Or when Christianism or when East was going into dark ages, India was under golden age of Guptas. So this definition is applicable to that scenarios. They are very contextual. And then comes the chronological, where this is from Mahabharata itself. Samvatsara Pancha Yuga Mahoratras Chaturvidaha. So that means here Mahabharata is listing yuga of 5 years and 4 types of days and nights. And this 5 years of yuga is actually also found in Rigveda, where it says Dirgatama Mamateyo Jujurvan Dashame Yuge. So what it says is Dirgatamas, the son of Mamata, has come to the length of days in 10th yuga of humankind. So if you take the average lifespan of as 100, so here one yuga would mean 10 years. Or like in the past, if you expect the lifespan to be low, this yuga definition will come to be as 5 years, which is actually consistent with the duration of Mahabharata. Now these are chronological. These are you can and also this 5 years of yuga was later developed or evolved into 12,000 years duration of yugas, and we find that in Mahabharata. There are actually 5 different yuga theories in Mahabharata, and even though on the overview they seem similar, but there are like nitty-gritty differences in them. One comes from Hanuman's conversation with Bhima during their Vanavas, Pandavas Vanavas. Hanuman meets Bhima and he gives his description about the 4 yugas. He does not list any time spans, but he gives the characteristics of each yugas. And we will do a separate Purvapaksha session for these 5 yuga theories and also yuga theories of Swami Yukteswar Giri and Sadguru. So next, in the Mahabharata, during the Vanavas of the Pandavas itself, we also get the discussion between Yudhishthir and Markandeya Rishi, where Markandeya Rishi also gives his yuga theory. And also it is important to note that Mahabharata does not follow 4.32 million years yuga. Mahabharata talks of only 12,000 years yuga. And this is just before the start of the war. On the eve of the war, Sanjaya and Dhritarashtra get involved in a conversation. So there Sanjaya describes the characteristics of 4 yugas, and this conversation is very important because we get a very important clue about the beginning of Kali Yuga during this conversation. We will also see this in the coming sessions. Next, Vyasa explains the characteristics and durations of Yuga to his son Shuka. So this is sort of similar to Markandeya's discussion, but it has its own flavor added to it. We will also see this in the next session. And coming to the modern day Yuga theories, Swami Yukteswar Girish is a very interesting theory because according to his theory, Kali Yuga has ended 300 years back and we are now in Dwapara Yuga. Whereas our Puranas all state that Kali Yuga is still going on and it is still about 4 lakh years to go. So this is a very interesting theory, and we will also get in detail to this in the next session. And additionally, in the coming session, I will also discuss the Yuga theory of Sri Sadguru. And that is sort of based on Swami Yukteswar Giri's theory, but he combines traditional knowledge of Kali Yuga and Yuga theory of Yukteswar Giri to arrive at his own separate take on the Yugas. According to his theory, Kali Yuga ended 2500 years back, and Treta is about to come in 60 years. So we will also have a critical analysis of his theory in the next session of Purva Paksha. So to summarize, we saw that Yuga definition can be broadly classified into four categories: theoretical, philosophical, practical, and chronological. And we saw 4.32 million year Yuga is for pure astronomical computations. We also saw how Surya Siddhanta gives step-by-step procedure to calculate the precise orbital periods of different planets. And we also saw the significance of 4.32 million years. For using the 4.32 million years, the rotations of each of the planets can be expressed in integers, and there will be no decimal involved. And Aitreya Brahman, while defining the philosophical yuga, says that action makes the yuga. And it actually encourages humans to be active. Charaiveti comes from the shloka of Aitreya Brahman. And Bhishmacharya says king makes the yuga. Raja Kalasya Karanam. And we also saw a couple of practical examples for that with the Vijayanagar Empire and Gupta Empire. And finally, in the Rig Veda and Mahabharata, there are 5 to 10 year yugas seen. And also, Mahabharata has 12,000 year Chatur Yuga in it. And we will see 4 to 5 different yuga theories present in Mahabharata. And we will also explore the yuga theories of Sri Sadguru and Swami Yukteswar Giri in the next session. And this is my new book that has been released last month. Yuganta, the advent of Kali Yuga. The one on the left is the Indian version. You can buy it from Subbu Publications. And if you are in abroad, the one on the right will be the cover page for it. The contents are exactly similar, but it's only the difference in the cover page, and you can get it through Amazon. So that completes my presentation, Aditya.
That is very interesting. And also, if I look at the verse in the Bhagavad Puran where people say that when Krishna left, the Kali Yuga started, the verse which they misquote is this one. 1.3.43 Bhagavad Puran, people can read it. 1.3.43. It says, Krishna Sudhamo Pagate Dharma Jnanadi Bisaha Kalau Nashtra Dashamesha Puranarko Adunodita. That shloka says Puranarko means Bhagavad Puran was spoken after Krishna left the planet. It is not about Kali Yuga. It's about the Bhagavad Puran. Because the last two words are Puranarko Adunodita. But this Puran came into existence on earth after Krishna left the planet. So people think that Kali Yuga started after Krishna left the planet is based on that reading that shloka. 1.3.43.
Yeah. And there is also one in 11th or 12th Kanda, where it says Puravida. Opinion of the historians is that Kali Yuga began with Krishna's Nirvana.
Correct.
So we will do one more separate Purva Paksha for the Puranas. In my book, there is a separate chapter for it, Purva Paksha of the Puranas. So even for Sattology, we will do one separate session where we will analyze different Puranas with respect to beginning of Kali Yuga.
And generally, the Shastras explain the qualities more. That this is the qualities you see, then you see Kali Yuga has started. And it's not specific date, because the whole idea of Sandhya between Yuga is that Sandhya is the intermediary period where things don't go as per the qualities of that Yuga in the main. So we have maybe we just come out of the Sandhya right now. Just come out. Because Sandhya is 10% of the total period. If it is, so the Sandhya of Dwapar Yuga, according to the traditional calculation, will be 10% of 8,640,000 years. So it will be 8,000 years Sandhya. But for Kali Yuga, we have gone through that Dwapar and Kali Yuga Sandhya. Maybe we are just out of it. Now we are in the mainstream Kali Yuga. In like people should be very happy about it. And
Mhm.
so when people say, based on your book, when people say that now we have entered into Satyuga, what would you call them? Because the qualities are still getting worse day by day. We discussed in the beginning.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So again, this relates to the end of Kali Yuga, and first we have to choose which parampara or which authority we are going to listen, right? Because there are, I'm actually starting my next research about the end of Kali Yuga, as Yuganta to the end of Kali Yuga. So as of now, we have 5 different theories for the end of Kali Yuga. Okay, and if I have to list it, according to Mahabharata, according to the Yuga theory of Mahabharata, we are currently in Treta. If you take 5561 BC as the date of Mahabharata war, we are currently in Treta. Or if you take Yuga Purana, we are actually in Krita Yuga. And Kali Yuga ended in 58 BCE. And we also find support for this in the inscriptions. And as I said, Swami Yukteswar Giri says that we are in Dwapara right now. And Sadhguru says Treta is about to come in 60 years. However, if you subscribe to Puranic traditions, Kali Yuga is not going to end anytime soon. It is still 4 lakh years in the future.
Yeah, it's the
So
qualities.
that's
Qualities. The end of Kali Yuga is the qualities. The age will be so reduced. The height will be so reduced. We're not seeing that yet.
yeah,
We are still seeing the
yeah,
average height of a man to be 5'8", 5'9". That's an average height,
yeah.
which is not very less.
It is actually increasing. Even lifespan is actually increasing, and average height is also actually increasing. So
Yeah,
it is actually very interesting to specifically research on the end of Kali Yuga.
yeah. They see the maximum lifespan is fixed, and before that you can have accidents or anything. So 100 is the maximum. If anyone exceeds 100, that is extraordinary, not ordinary. But if nowadays,
Yeah,
even if somebody exceeds, even in the US, 80 is extraordinary. You know, exceptional
yeah,
cases is yes, exceptional cases, yes,
yeah.
90, 95, 100. My golf buddies are sometimes like one of the guys who plays with me is 92, but he plays with me sometimes. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
very good player, by the way. At 92 also he plays very well. So the thing is that is there as a guideline, but it's not fixed. There can be accidents, there can be anything. Similarly, the Dwapar Yuga age was set to be 1,000, maximum 1,000.
I mean, age of lifespan of human or
Yes,
total duration of Dwapara?
no, lifespan of human set to be 1,000.
200.
Huh?
200. 200.
No, not 200.
In
1,000.
in Kali it is 100. In Dwapara it is 200.
Uh,
In the next session, I will also provide you the reference.
no, but in the Puranic reference, I can give you that the Hanumanji is telling.
Yeah, my references are from Mahabharata.
Yeah, but still, even in Mahabharata also, like if you look at many references, Mahabharata is a huge ocean. Now there is a discussion between you check out Satyavati and Bhishma, in which he mentions about the ages, about these ages. Multiple times, Markandeya Rishi also discussed it. But uh, in uh, in the Mahabharata, when Hanumanji is talking to Bhim, that conversation, he says earlier the heights used to be huge. He says now the heights are
Yeah,
reduced. And also age, he says that the age people used to live for 1,000 years was a upper limited in Dwapar. Like Treta Yuga and Puranic wisdom, many acharyas have commented on it. Satyuga, they started 1 lakh years, 10,000, 1,000, 10 times reducing. But anyway, these are all the topics for people to research on, and you're doing it. It's a wonderful thing. And for people to also and understand one thing, there is you have to follow methodology, people, to find out this. Like for example, for engineering degree, you have to go through a college before you get a degree. For these things also, you have to do your own research. So Jeevan has done a wonderful work compiling all the evidences together. Now it's up to you to research it, and find out more. Thank you and namaste.
Namaste.